What's up, my beautiful people? Hope you're having a wonderful day. Exile 451 here with yet another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Speaking of happy, that's the sub we're going back to today. r/happy for some great stories of overcoming trials and getting to a point in life where you're genuinely, well, just that, happy. So let's get to it. Our first post is from user JohnMichael0414. 13 years drinking, 3 years IV meth, 7 months sober. Here's my story. Less than 8 months ago, I could hardly make it more than a few hours without a drink, and rarely did I even try to do so. I dreaded going to sleep at the end of the night because I wouldn't be drunk anymore and would have to start all over again in the morning. I remedied this situation by allowing my already miserable meth addiction to get even worse. I'd stay up for 3 or 4 days at a time, IVing meth and drinking somewhere just south of a handle of vodka each day. At the end of these benders, I'd drink myself to sleep and go to work the next day. I was unemployable for years before this, but my desire to use but also avoid criminal activity as a means to acquire drugs and alcohol were reason enough for me to shape up and get a job within walking distance of where I live. Work weeks would be miserable, drinking through shifts so I wouldn't get sick whilst banging dope in the bathroom whenever I got the chance. I was working for a company that was Christian faith oriented, which made it even harder to conceal. There were a few glimpses of light in this time period, but not much could distract from how miserable I felt both physically and mentally. Not to mention the fact that I wasn't taking my meds for being bipolar, which made everything so much worse. After finding out my insurance would pay for detox, I worked my last few days and of course ended up getting fired on my last day for being wasted on a Saturday shift because I had no desire to hide it. I've since apologized to my manager there and am on good terms with them, which, amongst other things, was a relief. I made it to rehab after just over a year in detox, and from there, I relocated and moved into a sober living home. Fast forward to now, and I am back home with my amazing family, the best dog anyone could ever wish for, and I am almost 8 months sober. I take my meds properly, I take care of myself, and I spoil the crap out of my pup. I have never been this happy, especially not with this consistency, in my entire life. And I thank God daily that this is my reality. Wow. Talk about a turnaround. I mean, my goodness, holy crap. Shooting up meth for days at a time in conjunction with serious alcohol benders? Oh my gosh. Dude, how you're not dead is nothing short of a miracle. I'll tell you this right now, God's got some sort of purpose for you because that would kill most people, I'd imagine. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I've been down that road, thankfully, but frick. Dude, that's just nuts. And just wow. I mean, seriously, just wow. That's really all I can say. That's an incredible story of just pulling yourself together and pulling out of something that really should have killed you. Your story is an inspiration for others. And don't you ever believe that your past is what's going to define you. Your past is just that. Your future is what's going to make you. And you're well on track to where you can actually make something of your life again. Congratulations on getting to this point, and I really wish you the best. Our next post is from user Down on the Suwannee. Changing direction and starting over, professionally, is terrifying. But I think I just did it. Story time. I'm 30 years old, and the only reason I graduated high school is the No Child Left Behind Act. I was a horrible student. Grew up in the deep south, oldest son of a stay-at-home mom and a high school dropout that worked the night shift at Waffle House. College wasn't an option because my grades were crap. So I enlisted in the Marines right after the miraculous conferral of my diploma. The first thing I remember finding joy in was reading. Fiction, nonfiction, poetry, and short stories. I inhaled all of it as a kid, and to this day, it's my favorite pastime. I was a good Marine, and I loved being surrounded by Marines. Just about everyone I served with had some dysfunctional aspect of their life that led them to that Eagle, Globe, or Anchor. It was a perfect fit for me, and I would have been happy making a career out of that. But I wanted more. mostly due to the knowledge of how big and diverse the world is thanks to my love of reading. So I elected not to re-enlist and decided to make my own way in the world. I had a bad time. Fast forward about 2 years. Through a series of poor decisions, I found myself as the general manager of a failing restaurant after dropping out of college. Twice. Or was it 3 times? Either way, I was floundering, and I felt that the opportunity to break the cycle of ignorance and poverty in my family, that's been the norm for generations, had slipped away from me. But I decided to change gears, and I went back to college. Graduated with a pretty high GPA despite all the false starts. Today, I interviewed for a position in Washington, D.C. that blows the brakes off what I thought would be possible when I was a failing restaurant manager / college dropout. And I'm 99% sure I nailed it. For the first time in 7 years, I'm happy, content, proud of myself for enduring when everything seemed to be a lost cause. I'm writing this after a 30-minute cry session when I made it back to my hotel. If you're reading this, I want you to know a couple things. First, that it's not too late to begin making positive changes in your life. It doesn't matter how incremental they may seem to you at the time. Never stop learning, growing, and making yourself into the best human being you can be. Second, and most importantly, love yourself. Love other people. Life is hard, and if you let the negative experiences define you, you'll wake up one day full of poison and hate. Where you come from, what has been done to you, and mistakes you've made do not define who you are. I did it, you can do it. And we can do it together. Whoever you are, wherever you are, and whatever you're going through, believe in yourself. Because I believe in you. Love yourself. Because I love you. And that's something to start with. Well, OP, that is quite the motivational piece there. I mean, my gosh, to go from your upbringing to interviewing for a position in DC that sounds like a really, really big deal. I mean, that's just incredible. That's the sort of stuff that you used to see Hollywood make movies about. Unfortunately, it doesn't sell quite as much as superhero stuff does these days, but those sort of motivational stories are ones that really rally people. And yours is definitely one that can be used as an inspiration for others to know that it doesn't matter where they come from, that there is a path forward, and that there is always a chance for a better tomorrow. Thank you so very, very much for sharing your story, and wherever you're at right now, I really do wish you the best. Our next post is from user Gene Bean Machine. But first, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you can get more of your daily dose of Reddit Happy. Yesterday was my 1-year clean from dope anniversary, so I celebrated with my new husband by jet skiing and snorkeling on the reefs in Mexico. So I made a post on here a little under a year ago when I had reached my 2-week mark sans heroin. The changes I made in just those 2 weeks alone were pretty amazing, and the outpouring of support I received from you guys was phenomenal. I made another post about 6 months ago, as well as sharing my success. Well, here I am again, 6 days after marrying the love of my life on the beaches of Mexico at a 5-star adults-only inclusive resort. This has been by far the best week of my life, and to make it even more special, yesterday morning I realized that it was my 1-year anniversary of being clean. Without dope, I was able to help my husband and I move out of his parents' house this past March and into our own cozy and love-filled apartment, plan my own wedding, with the help of my parents, of course, keep the same job for a year and a half, plan and pay for our 6-night honeymoon in paradise, finally land a PCP and I actually take vitamins every day now, went to the dentist for the first time in over half a decade, only 1 cavity. Thankfully, I never let my oral health decline. Build and maintain some pretty amazing friendships. My bridesmaids and I in particular have grown super close. Buy myself things when I need them or saving money instead of blowing all my money on drugs. My relationships with my family members are being repaired. My mom and I have never been closer, and I feel like my dad and I are finally starting to understand one another. Lose 20 pounds. I go to the gym pretty much every day, having taken up swimming. My husband and I have started planning for a baby, and will probably start trying at the start of the new year. And I've stopped living day to day. I still try to live in the moment when I can, but I spend a lot more time taking care of my future self than I have since I first started using. I could go on for hours, but I think you get the point. Yesterday, as I was snorkeling and in awe of the natural beauty our world possesses, I had a thought. A year ago, I could hardly pull myself together enough to make it to my dad's lake house an hour away for a night or two, let alone get myself to a foreign country, drive a jet ski out into the ocean, first time driving one by the way, to swim around with some of the most colorful marine life I have ever seen. Part of why my recovery has been so successful is that I no longer suffer in silence. I share my struggles, experiences, and victories with those around me. So here I am, sharing my story with you. For those of you still struggling with an active addiction, please know that it can get better. I know it is such a cliche, but you really have to want it. I got clean more times than I can remember, and the reason I was successful this time was because I finally got to the point where I knew I would lose everything I truly cared about if I didn't get my crap together, and I just decided that was it. No more, just one more time. I just made the choice to stop. And while I do struggle with cravings, that desire to live my best life is much stronger. One thing I can say for sure, you cannot do it alone. Get yourself into some kind of program, surround yourself with supportive, clean people, and stay busy. I am here if anyone needs advice or just someone to talk to. One final note, I just want to thank my wonderful husband for being the rock that I needed to get my life in order. You're the reason I am here today, and I love you more than life itself. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. Wow. Talk about transition stories today. I mean, frick. These have been some real big hurdles people have overcome, and yours is just the latest. In all seriousness, that is such an awesome story. I don't know if you planned your wedding to line up with your 1-year sobriety date, but either way, that's just incredible. You've done something that plenty of people out there would kill to be able to do, to be able to get clean and not be a slave to the addiction. More than that, you've not only broken free, but you've radically changed your life in the process. It just goes to show that no matter how far you may have fallen off the track, it is always possible to get back, no matter how old you are or what you've done. I'm sure your addiction recovery was brutal, and I'm willing to bet that you wouldn't go through it again for anything. But look at what it's brought you. Look at where you are now. You've gained so much. You're in a position where you feel as though you're able to help bring others up and out of their own struggles as well. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I truly appreciate this. And wherever you're at right now, I really wish you the best. That was r/happy. And if you want more content about why people are happy in their life right now, then go ahead and click on that playlist link in the description below. Now you go out there, have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.